Hello everyone, this is Keys Ritual, and today we are doing the first Halloween look of my lineup. So this one is actually pre-recorded a few days prior to the rest of my videos for this week will all be live. I actually planned to do this one live the day I filmed it, but I didn't have a mic for my computer. So I remember my DragCon videos, I watched them back, and the audio is really bad. So I decided to get a new mic, which just didn't get it in time. So we're gonna start with this one being pre-recorded. I've already done my skincare. Today we are doing an animal look for work. So all these looks are actually for my work, so I decided to film them since I haven't really been filming lately because of being sick and other reasons. But I'm gonna start, I've already done my skincare. I'll throw some contacts in real quick. Okay, now that we got those in, after fighting them because I don't really wear contacts that often anymore, I'm going to start drawing in my brows. So this is going to be sort of like this. I did this look already. This is not the first time I've done this look, but I'm just sort of recreating it because why not? I don't really recreate looks that often. And I'm using the Benefit Precisely My Brow in number 6. I'm just sort of creating this straight up brow. And I'm mainly focusing on the shape right now. So now that I got a general shape, I'm going to fill in my brows with a very dark color. I'm actually going to use the Ka-Brow in number 6. And I'm going to use an angle brush. I actually used all my good brushes for a wedding yesterday. So we're using my backup brushes. Well, not all, okay? I still have some good brushes to go with. And I'm going to actually make them pretty dark. So now I'm going to take a flat brush and I'm going to actually use the Kat Von D whiteout to shape out my brows and give them a nice cut. So now that we're done with the brows, it is time to do the eyes. So I'm going to start by priming my lid with some Dior eyeshadow primer. This is the Backstage Eye Primer. And I'm going to bring that all the way up to where I just put the concealer. So now I'm going to start with the Makeup Forever liner. I'm also going to be using this Heaven and Hell brush in N128. And I'm going to first draw out where I'm going to shape my crease. This doesn't have to be perfect because you can't always alter it with concealer and such. And I'm going to take that brush and I'm going to blend it. Now this is just sort of our stencil area. It's not going to be our final cut. So it doesn't be 100% perfect. But the closer you get, the better, because in the end you're going to have to like reshape it. So now I'm going to grab my Huda palette, the Desert Dust palette. And I'm going to take the color Saffron, this ready one right here, and I'm going to start buffing that into the crease. I'm going to grab my original Huda palette, and I'm going to be using the color Black Truffle. And I'm going to also blend that crease, but just not as far. This is going to sort of accentuate the black liner and just sort of create a little bit more depth in the cut. I'm going to go in with Black Tard by OCC, and I'm actually going to do pretty much the same thing. I just want a very much bolder line, and I'm going to actually using a more firm brush. I'm using this one. I don't even know what this brush is, honestly. I got it a long time ago and it still works wonders. And I'm just going to buff that in to create a more defined crease. And I'm mainly focusing with this on the inside. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the angle brush, and I'm going to clean this up now. Now we are done with the crease. We are going in with the lid. So I'm going to grab my Sugar Pill palette, and I'm going to use the color Love Plus, which is this red right here. I'm going to take a nice flat, but more of a smaller brush. I'm going to build that on there and just sort of get right below the crease but not touching the crease. So now we've done the lids, it is actually time to do a little, I'm going to do a little center color. Cosmo from Huda Beauty. But because it is such a loose glitter, I'm going to use a setting spray. The Mist and Fix on a flat brush. Just so I can get a nice amount of pigment. And layer that right on the middle of the lid. Now that we got that shimmer, it's time for the liners. So I have to use two separate liners. I'm using this OCC one in the color Feathered, and I'm using this to clean up my crease. So when you draw your crease, there's not always be perfect. So what I do is I just use this and just sort of fill in that hole that I made earlier. Just to really brighten it. Okay, now it is time for the black liner, the liquid. I'm going to use Stila, just the regular black liner. Oh, I have glitter on my finger. I'm going to create my wing. Now that is the top of the eye. Now we have to do the face before we do the rest of the eye. So I'm going to start with a primer, of course. So I'm going to use my Murad Invisablur primer. This is one of my favorite primers. And we're going to start with my corrector, because I have some dark eyes going on today. I think it actually is makeup that's left over from yesterday, but oh well. I did wash, I didn't wash my face very well before bed. I was tired. And I'm going to take a beauty blender and just sort of pat that out. Now we're going to take our foundation shade. So I normally wear the Air Flash, but I'm actually going to, you can just use any color as long as it's either your skin or lighter as a base. That is my skin and darker. So I'm going to use the 100. I'm going to take this 55.5 brush from Sephora, and I'm going to apply this all over my face. This is going to be my sort of base color to prevent my skin from staining with what I do afterwards. And I'm going to take out my Makeup Forever palette. So this is what I'm going to be using to create my look. So I'm going to first take this color red, and I'll just take a little bit. I don't need much of the red. Put that on this weird palette I made out of my eye cream, which I will clean off later. And then I'm going to take the color pink, and I'm going to take a decent amount. I actually was watching this random video that appeared on my Instagram feed or YouTube feed, Facebook feed, sorry. And it was bothering me because of how she did it. I'm going to take a little bit of the white. She was like, she really grabbed, like gouged out. I'm like, you don't need that much, girl, you don't need that much. I'm going to take a little but, like a tiny little, like barely any black. I put it on the red side. Now I'm going to, I have two separate brushes for a reason, not that one. This one I'm going to use for my highlight, and this I'm going to use for my contour. And I'm going to mix them on this little makeshift palette, make sure it's nice and mixed. And I'm mixing them just because I want a lighter pink, because we're using this as my highlight zone. Which is, I'm going to use a powder over it to brighten it up a little bit more. But I like to start with a lighter color just because. And I'm going to mix the red with the black, and there's also a little white and pink in there too. It was left on the spatula, which I actually want. Just a little bit. And we're going to mix them together to create this nice, like, burgundy red. Now, I would usually mix these on my hands, but I'm not, because I actually waste a lot of product that way. Because a little goes a long way, and it's an expensive palette, like, honestly. So I'm going to start actually by just drawing on my highlight and creating that shape that I want. Now I'm going to take a beauty blender that I've already pre-dampened. I'm going to start blending this out before I even start my contour. Okay, now that it's all blended and fully covered, I'm going to be using the other brush, with my little red concoction. I'm going to draw that into the contour zones. I'm not going to go under my jawline because I'm going to put something else there. So I'm not worried about that. I'm mostly worried about my nose, my cheeks, and my forehead. Now that we have placed everything, we're going to start baking. So I like to use this powder. This is the Organic Wear powder. Honestly don't know. I'm using this small little powder puff. And I'm going to bake under my eyes and all my highlight zones. So this is going to help brighten the areas where I put the pink so it looks more like skin. Dimension while this is baking. So I'm going to take my Love Plus again. Sugar Pill. And that brush where it belongs. And I'm going to sort of push it and sort of set my contour zones, as well as sort of darken the area to really enhance it. Take my Huda palette, and I'm going to take the black truffle, and I'm going to push that into the outside of these areas to really deepen it. So instead of going all the way up with like I did with the red, I'm just going to try to keep it right on the curvature. Focusing mostly on the back, blending it out. I'm going to take that big fluffy brush I just used for the red, and I'm going to focus this mainly in the very top area, like my hairline. I'm going to go back in with some red with the big brush. Oh, got orange on there. And I'm just going to sort of blend this upward as it dusts away some powder, which doesn't really matter. I feel like it is time to dust off this powder. So I'm going to go in with my Ambient Light palette, and I'm going to keep the same brush because it doesn't have as much product left on it. I'm going with the middle shade, which is Incandescent Light. And I'm going to dust off all this powder under my eye. And actually over my whole face. Take this shade, which is Radiant Light, and I'm going to sort of go into my contour zone with this. Make sure everything blends together, above, not below. We want to keep that cut hard. It is now time to take this brush and use a little Dolly Pop. So this like pink shade here, and I'm going to sort of use this sort of like a light dusting to sort of clean up any excess powder. This is also going to enhance the pink, but also keep it still looking sort of neutral. Just my highlighter on this. And I'm going to use my Danessa Myricks, sorry, why did I say Denisha? Danessa Myricks Aura of Light. And I'm going to just sort of powder that right up in the highlight zone. No blush or bronzer, because that's going to ruin your look. I take that red brush, little Love Plus, sort of buff it under the eye. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of black truffle and go right up against the eye. And you know how the animals sometimes have that little like area like inside their eye that's just like blacker? I love to do that. And then we're going to do a little bit of brightness right here. And I'm also going to just use Angelic from the original Huda palette. I'm just going to throw a little bit of that right here. And then we're going to get my white liner by OCC and we're going to put in the waterline. Little leopard spot one. Ooh. I'm going to take this flattening sponge and my black paint by Meron. And I'm just going to sort of put this all over the face, but in more of a sporadic area. You see? And we're going to create the cat nose. So I'm going to start by sort of creating the shape that I want. So I'm just going to sort of round out this area. Now it's time for the whiskers. So I'm going to start by just creating dots. And then just creating very thin lines. A two-tone lip. I don't want that color. I want a black and a pink nude. So I'm going to take 714 and Weirdo. I'm going to do 714 on the bottom lip. And I'm not going to close my lips until they're dry. Okay, now I'm going to do my neck real quick. Actually, I'm going to do mascara first. I'm not going to wear lashes today. Not feeling it. Okay, I think I'm done, which is a little setting spray will be finished. Some Tarte. I have a little issue with transfer. There are a lot of issues. I'm gonna fix this, but I'm gonna head off camera and finish settings a little bit. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I shouldn't have reapplied yet. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. The rest of my videos will be live the following days, so check in. I will probably set up a schedule soon, so look into that, and I will see you all next time. Have a good day. Bye.